That boy who used to spend days in the garage with only his imagination and a couple hand tools has gotten lost in the grind of the real world. I think it's time we find him. Today's woodworking project jumped to the head of the list. You know, the problem with being me is sometimes I am at the mercy of whatever scrapwood idea calls from the pile. I had two builds I was deciding on for today: an amazing colonial piece and an 1800s inspired wall shelf tweaked into a modern twist that I cannot wait to make. But fall called again, and so I listened. I don't know if it's the cool air, the time of the year, or the colors from last week's video, but I saw an odd piece. It was one of 6 in a collection, all similar, just a little different. A composite of metal and wood, old barn wood, faint gray, and the metal rusting. I saw it, and my brain went a complete 180 to fall. Now, I haven't worked with metal much, other than my tin punch lantern, and for sure don't have much recycled material laying around. So, I'm going to try to do it all with what I do have. Wood. We need 3/4 stock for our faceplate. Now, I resist the urge to use different widths and thicknesses here in the craftsman style that I love so much. Maybe next time, and I do think I will build a few more. The table saw, I rip it down to width. But stop when I get to the strip with the dado in it. A light bulb went off in the back of my head, and I'll show you why in a bit, but just a little design tweak. I think you'll like it. And we cut it all to size at the miter saw. A full cut list is in the description. I fiddle with the layout a bit, and there we are. And taking the leftover branch from Thursday's 4 fall builds, I cut off a narrow switch of it and see what it would look like holding it up against a groove. Liking it, I shove it in. I try to show you how I build. I'm sure it drives half of you nuts. My brain doesn't really go in a straight line. When I'm building, it bounces back and forth to pieces. Right now I am sanding at the wen again, and my mind is saying, you were supposed to start with the leaves, you idiot. The whole project depends upon that. And it's finally time to replace the belt. Simple process. Allen wrench. Lift it up. And yeah, I think I need to do a better job cleaning. A quick cleanup. Remove the belt. And slide the new one on. Arrows tell you the direction. No idea how to replace the sanding disc yet, but I'll get to it one day. I round over all the edges. Now, I like the look of all the individual pieces, and the round over intensifies it. And while everything looks good, I realize at this point I forgot the roof. I forgot the peak. And I'm not liking the shape anymore. It's looking a little too squat. I had the proportions down for length and width, but if I forgot the peak, it's not going to work. I think if I recut the middle strip a little longer, though, it'll all fall back into place. I so did not give you 2 thumbs up, but you can give me one. Come on, that was a great segue. While I recut, please drop down, like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the drive for 5, even though we don't have 4. That looks much better. Taking my speed square, I just center it and make the peak line, then cut it at the miter saw. So, this isn't a real birdhouse. It's fake. I suppose you can make it real by making the depth wider, but I think of it as more a decoration. And again, at the end, the leaves will bring it into a whole new dimension. Or so I hope. But while it's fake, I still want something more than just 3/4 inch wall art hanging on the house side, the barn, or even the garage. So I'm thinking 1.5 inch stock behind it is perfect for the backing. I raid the scrap pile and piece it all together. Mark it, and I cut it down to size at the miter saw. And then start the layout. I'm not really sure what I was thinking here. I didn't even sand the pieces. I got lazy, got in a rush. Truth is, I have issues. Look, came out fine and no one sees it, but why didn't I just finish it? I lay it out and I build the faceplate on top and move to the peak. 2 scraps of 1x4 will work perfectly, I think. I like the simplicity of the box joint on top versus a miter. And so I go with that. And settling on the overhang, I cut it to size. Now, here are some of those little details I was talking about earlier, trying to add that charm. Instead of calling it quits, I think we'll add some molding to the eaves. When I cleaned up the garage last week, as predicted, I didn't throw anything away. I just restacked it. Maybe organize it a little better. And I put all the tall, thin scraps in this yellow bucket. And I think these 2 will work perfectly. All right, the hole. So I want more than just a hole in the board. I would love a huge rusted metal washer the size of the hole to go around it, but I don't have one. And they're probably like $3, which is far more than the video will make. So I think I can use a hole scrawl and cut out a 2.5-inch circle from some really thin stock, maybe 1/8 of an inch. This is one of those things I'm not so sure it's going to work 100%. I drill it, or cut it out, I guess, and the idea I have now is to glue it in place, and then when dried, I'm going to drill a hole in the middle of it, and it should look like a wooden washer, or at least a really cool detail that no one will notice, but it'll be there all the same. But before I glue it down, I have to glue it all together. Tight Bond 3 for the glue up and some nails. Earlier I mentioned the leaves. The original from the photo had these heavily rusted, gnarly, patinaed metal leaves. Gorgeous, clustered around the eaves. It made the piece. Now, I'm going to try to do it all with wood. I draw a quick pattern, cut it out, and make a practice leaf. Satisfied, I move on to mass production. I'm thinking 12, 15 of them maybe. I hit the yellow bucket up again, and sure enough, I have a thin slat already, a cut off from a 2x4. I trace the patterns out, then at the miter saw, cut them into individual pieces. Then the wind benchtop again. Be careful. I honestly didn't even sand a fingerprint off this time. I'm kind of proud of that. They're so small, take your time, just slide into the curves and slowly pivot the piece around. You don't have to be precise here. In fact, you're probably better off if you're not. Like snowflakes, no 2 leaves are identical. A couple practice layouts to relieve the fear that this is not going to work, and then move on to the peak. Taking out my old miter box, I just cut by hand and add the details to those eaves. Some glue and staples to hold it all together. A quick peek of the peak. Come on, I'm a dad, so lame jokes are part of it all. I think we're going to pull this one off yet. Wanting the house to look a little more rustic than it is, plus, I really like just beating the crap out of things sometimes. I just dress it. Taking the old throwing knife that came with the house, I split some ends and trace some lines on the front. Then move on to faux bug holes with my nail blob, pounding in little dings and holes for the stain to darken to perfection in. Then some watered down black acrylic to resemble mold and stains. Then I use golden oak stain on the entire house. If you've watched my channel from the beginning, you know I love me some golden oak on pine. It's just amazing, highlighting all the little defects we put in the wood and a warm beckoning color, just like aged pine. We set it all aside to dry and move on to the leaves again. Now, I did this technique last week on my pumpkins. Red, orange, and yellow, watered down acrylic paint, Hobby Lobby style, and a touch of black to dull up the colors a touch and stain them. And here we are. I didn't want to do another fall build so quickly after the 4 from Thursday, but this one came a-knocking, and I'm glad I answered. Some builds I'm excited I pulled off and some are meh, but I love this one. I look at it and I smile. It's fall. The last second thought at the table saw, that groove with the branch in it, that little vein of nature running through the piece, I love it. So, are you going to give it a shot? What's your favorite fall build so far? Next week, I've got a couple great videos in the works. At least one of the ones I mentioned at the start of the video, and with luck, I'll pull one of them off. I say it all the time, but thank you for watching. I know there are a million channels out there, and trust me, I don't take it for granted that you chose to watch this one. It's greatly appreciated. Until the next time.